another episode of the Questing Guild. This is going to be the final episode discussing how to build a character and create character sheets. On this episode, we're going to be talking about armor, weapons, and spells. This is going to be one of the most important aspects of D&D, because a lot of the game is taken up by combat. So you're going to want to make sure that your characters are well equipped, that they have the right armor for their class, that they have the right weapons that suit their character, and if they're a spellcaster, you want to make sure they have some pretty powerful spells. So, we're going to continue going over the character that we've been building over the past couple of videos, Stannis, the Paladin. Now, because he's a Paladin and he's pretty much a powerhouse, he's going to need a pretty strong set of armor. You got to remember, this guy is a knight, and knights walk around with pretty bulky armor. Armor is also pretty important because it determines what your character's armor class is going to be. Your armor class determines whether or not a character can hit you when in combat. So when you roll to attack somebody, you have to roll above their armor class in order to hit that character. So because my character's a paladin and he needs a pretty heavy set of armor, I'm going to give him splint armor, which gives him an armor class of 17. Now, let's say you're playing a rogue or a fighter, someone who's pretty nimble on their feet. Well, then maybe you'd want to give them leather armor or studded armor, which usually has an armor class of 11 plus your dexterity. You have to remember that your armor and your weapons have to suit the class and the character that you are playing. Now you want to determine what type of weapons your character is going to have. Now let's say you're playing a rogue, maybe some daggers would work good for you. That way you can easily sneak up behind someone and then stab them in the back. Or maybe if you're a fighter, maybe a simple short sword would do. Because my character is a paladin and because he's a bit of a powerhouse, I want to give him a two-handed weapon. So I think I'm going to give him a great axe, which has an attack of 1d12. Many of the classes within D&D are spellcasters. You have wizards, sorcerers, warlocks, bards, and while paladins do mainly use weapons, they do have the ability to cast some spells. So I'm going to add those into my spell slot on my character sheet. Now unfortunately for level 1, paladins don't get to cast too many spells. At level 1, I can cast Lay on Hands, which allows me to heal others, and then Divine Sense, which allows me to sense good or evil around me. But as your character levels up, they can learn more spells and spells at a higher level that do more damage or add more to the team. Another important thing you have to remember about spellcasting is your character can only cast a certain amount of spells. As you play the game and cast spells, there's only a certain amount of times that you can cast spells, which means you have to fill out a spell slot every time you use a spell. And once you use them all up, you can't use any more spells for the day. The only way to refill these is to take a short or long rest in order to refill all of your spell slots. Certain classes, as they level up, get more spell slots. For example, wizards can have a plethora of spell slots as they level up higher and higher and become more powerful. And if you play a warlock, well, you're going to be stuck with only 2 spell slots for a very long time. So make sure you take all of that into consideration when you're choosing your class. And just because your character is a spellcaster doesn't mean you can't use weapons. You can still be a wizard that carries a sword. You just won't be as proficient with a sword as you are with a fireball. And there you have it. You've now built a character with its own race, class, and background. You figured out what its statistics are, and now it's equipped and ready to roam the wilderness and fight any evil that's out there. But how does one fight in D&D? It's not as easy as it is in a video game. There are plenty of rules that you do have to follow. Well then, you better stay tuned for the next episode, because we're going to cover how to do combat in D&D. Thank you very much for watching this episode of the Questing Guild, and until next time, best of luck on your adventures, traveler.